Hansen, and I've got a bold statement for you today. We have built the most powerful data tool the fantasy sports industry has ever seen, and it's a complete game changer. Fantasy Points Data Suite. We've had access to the data for years as we've been building this tool, and that has enabled us to do things like win industry awards for both written and audio content. It's helped us fire off industry leading projections, and it's helped our subscriber exclusive live streams produce some big time DFS winners. The Fantasy Points Data Suite is so powerful, yet so easy to use, very simplistic, very intuitive. Trust me, I'm normally lost when I dig deep into some of these other stat databases, but thanks to the Fantasy Points Data Suite, I'm now walking around like a data scientist. I'm like Fantasy Einstein. I'm pretty sure people find me more attractive. The Fantasy Points Data Suite will unlock access for you to everything that Scott Barrett, Graham Barfield, Tom Brawley, and I use to write articles and build projections, do the down and dirty research that makes a true difference in fantasy and NFL wagering. Our data team watches every play of every game multiple times, mining through every move on the field to build a revolutionary fantasy and betting database. This data suite tool, it's like magic. Think of a stat, any stat. Like what quarterback was the best on fourth quarter deep ball throws on the road against divisional opponents with 15-mile-an-hour winds? Not a problem for the Fantasy Points Data Suite. Our powerful filters will sort through hundreds and hundreds of native data points in seconds to deliver concise, actionable leaderboards that will take your fantasy and wagering games to the next level. And as a special offer for our 2023 launch, we are offering the $200 Fantasy Points Data Suite package this year only for $50. $50. That is 75% off. Keep in mind, we view this product as the equivalent to only what other sites are charging NFL teams tens of thousands of dollars to access, and you can get it all for a fraction of the cost. Combine that $50 deal with our NFL Premium subscription, which, by the way, includes college football fantasy and betting content, and you can get every single thing Fantasy Points has to offer for just $200. And with this combination, you get access to the best content and the stats used to build it all in one place. Fantasy Points Data Suite will reinvent the game. If you want to emerge victorious, you'll get in from the opening kickoff.
Yo, what is up? Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the first ever official Fantasy Points data demo and tutorial video. We're also celebrating a fantastic day.
Just call it what it is, Scott. It's the launch celebration of the greatest football tool ever created.
It's a historic day. It'll go down in history. This was a dream. I had a dream, and it's now real, and it kind of crazy and mind blowing. But yeah, we've spent a lot of money, a lot of man hours, nearly 2 years in development for this tool, and it's officially live. We believe this is a $15,000 product, or comparable only to $15,000 products. We put it out for $50. If you're a stat head, if you're a stat nerd like I am, you're going to go ape shit for this. I go ape shit for this on a daily basis. Yeah. Well, I should probably introduce everyone. I'm Scott Barrett, the CEO of Fantasy Points. Brett, you are kind of the mastermind behind all of this. You're the one who's charting all of the games. You built a team of charters. You're the brightest film analyst I know, the smartest film head ever. So yeah, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Brett Whitefield, and I guess this was a shared vision with Scott and I, right? So 2 years ago, I left where I was at currently, which I'm sure many of you know where that place was, but I left with the idea that we could create this product that was just as basically what all of the NFL teams, all the sports books were using in their research. We could create something that was available for the consumer. Scott also had the same goal. The path wasn't a straight arrow, but we eventually linked up, and Chris came with us, and Chris basically is much smarter than me. So everything I can't do, he can do. Together, we are a perfect yin yang. And
I would describe Chris as like the perfect blend between the two of us. You are the best film mind in the industry, in my opinion. But Chris is, easily a close second, especially within fantasy points. Like he's your right-hand man when it comes to charting. And then like me, I have that stats background, but Chris is just as sharp with all the stat stuff as I am. And so he's kind of like the perfect go-between. And yeah, this tool never would have existed without Chris.
Chris is I would call him the liaison between football and analytics. Like, so I'm the football junkie. Scott speaks an entirely different language than me. And so what Chris is able to do is take football alpha bro speak and convert it to nerd language for Scott. And then together we create this insane tool. And it's kind of a perfect blend, perfect marriage, like you said.
Yeah, I just like to think of, I get to tell Brett when he wants to do some new charting thing or something, and I get to tell him that's not going to work in the data for these reasons. And then Scott, when he asks, why don't we do this? And I say, in football, that stuff doesn't matter. That's what I get to be. I get to know both things.
I'm just constantly trying to, okay, that's a cool stat, but can we do it on a market share basis, over expectation, adjusted for depth? And Chris is just, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? But yeah, so like no joke, this took us 2 years. We thought we were gonna have it up last year, and I thought we were just gonna have like a basic tool, and then our developer, who's not here but is just as crucial as everyone in this room right now, if not more so, decided to build like the sickest thing ever. Like I didn't think this was possible. It's like so in-depth, comprehensive, customizable, and so it came out in a year late, but I think everyone, like, it was for the best for sure, that it did, because this thing is so mind-blowingly cool. And yeah, I said this, this is a pop champagne moment.
Oh, heck yeah.
For me, for the company. So I bought the cheapest bottle of champagne, and
I got a little bottle here too.
All right, let's see if I break something.
I won't brandish the brand because I don't want to be seen as bougie. You know what I mean?
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Woo!
Well, that could have gone much worse.
That was a nice pop. I was going to try to do mine on the down low, but
Whoa, that was
So,
warm.
yeah, I didn't
Are you not
push-
supposed to drink champagne? No, right?
No, you're definitely supposed to make it cold.
I just dumped champagne all over my desk.
Well, I'll give this to my girlfriend. She can drink that. I got my like a little more. It was really just a ceremonial, the hot champagne. Maybe I'll go back to that. We'll see. All right. So what do you want to do? Do you want to just show off the tool? That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna show off the tool. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you have any stat requests, like, do you have percentage of carries to gain fewer than 1 yards? Yeah, we have it. We'll show you that. Do you have yards allowed to slot? We have it. Just like name anything, we have it, and we'll get to that. Any questions, we'll answer those questions. Ideally, we do it at the end, and you kind of just let me take the reins and really demo this tool, because it can be intimidating. But even if you don't know how to access it on the level I do, it's still like the greatest thing ever invented. And then ideally I teach you and you know how to access it on the level that I can.
Scott, before we get too far into this demo, can I do a quick shout out?
For sure.
So I want one shout out. We already did each other's shout out, so I'll leave that off the table. But shout out to our dev team. I don't know if you guys did this last night, you may have, but Brock and Speedy, freaking incredible. They took a vision from us and basically completely under promise and over delivered. Like, we had like a phase model in our head, 1 through 5. And I think they got us on phase 3 before we're even launched, and it's been incredible. They deserve a ton of credit. Brock is at home sleeping right now because he deserves it, and I don't think he's slept in probably 6 months.
He definitely pulled an all-nighter last night.
Yeah, and that's the charting crew, man. Like the charting crew, they grinded out during the season to make all of this data.
I mean, it's also the aesthetics, and like this thing can do so many things that like I'm still discovering. Like what you could change the font size. You can do this. Like it's so mind blowing.
Yeah.
Shout out to the team at Fantasy Points, and for sure Brock. All right, let's go live. Can I share my screen and let's dive into this? Okay, so here we are. I probably need to zoom in just for the to make it better on this screen sharing thing. So I'm in night mode right now. That's just something you could do. You do mode, which I do. I like the aesthetic of it. So here we have 3 different tools: basic passing, advanced passing, passing depth of target, rushing, 3 different tools, receiving, 3 different tools. Basic, advanced, routes run. Here is rushing plus receiving combined. Here is a stats tool, snaps tool, and fantasy points scored. Let me start off by saying that these 3, basic passing, basic rushing, basic receiving, are totally free. Anyone can access it. These do not rely on charted data. And because it doesn't rely on charted data, you are going to get access to this data within 20 minutes of games ending. So if you just wanted to know what Joe Mixon averaged, let's say we're in week 7 and the game just ended, you wanted to know what Joe Mixon averaged in the 4th quarter of the game, you would just go to that filter and wow, okay, 3.67 yards per carry in the 4th quarter. Not great, Joe. You could do that and you'll get it within 20 minutes. But we'll start off with basic passing. And so if you first look at this, I mean, it's pretty great. But, some sites have things like this, adjusted net yards per attempt, passer rating. We have fantasy points per dropback and fantasy points per opportunity. Those are far and away the best, most predictive metrics for quarterbacks. So that's really valuable. We don't just have it on the offense level, or the player level. We also have it on the team level. And we also have it on the defense level. So if you wanted to know which defense gave up the highest passer rating to opposing quarterbacks last year, it was the Raiders. Who gave up the most passing touchdowns? It was the Kansas City Chiefs. But we'll go back to player because I'm not done showing that off. Again, fairly basic. This is not the tool you pay for, but it does have the best, most important stat for quarterbacks. You can look at it on the week level. You can look at it by 10 different scoring settings. You want to look at DraftKings scoring, half point PPR, tight end premium. We have that for you. But here's where we really blow everyone away, and that's with our filters. You just do not have this level of customization anywhere else. You want to see all quarterbacks in wins or losses? We have that. Home or road? We have that. Division games? How many points did the team score? You could filter out for teams. How many points did the allow? What was the over-under? Was the quarterback a favorite or a dog in the game? What month was it? What day of the week? What was the weather? Was it snowing or was it a dome game? We have that. What was the wind speed? Was the wind 20 miles per hour or more? No one else has that. And then if you go to play under advanced filters, we also have it for the half, the quarter. Was it 4th quarter? What down was it? Was it 1st or 2nd down? How many yards to go? Was it, 4th and 1? Yards to goal? Was it in the red zone? We'll just click that for now. What were they leading, trailing, or tied at the time of the game? What was the score differential? So let's say we're only looking at red zone plays in the second half when trailing and on the road. Let's see who led in this category. I'll give you a prize if you get it, Chris. Too slow. Joe Burrow. So obviously, that's not the most predictive metric, but it's just a hint at some of the things you can come up with within this tool. Oh, oops, I went away from basic passing. And again, you still have this level of customization on the defense level. So you want to see yards allowed by the defense in home games, let's say. Any guesses on who this is?
Yeah, Vikings make sense.
All right, so I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit more. This makes it a little tricky for me to navigate, but that's okay, just for you guys. And so this, again, is just the basic page. This is, we're giving it away for free. So how much more in depth is the advanced tool? It's wildly advanced. And again, we're going to have a lot of supporting pieces of content, a lot of articles, a lot of tutorial videos. You can find tutorial videos here, FAQs. You can find that here. If you see if it's not working for you for some reason, or you have an idea you would like us to add, someone mentioned adding referee stats. We could do that at some point, at least. Just go over here to click provide feedback, or you could do it right here, and it'll go out to our development team, who should be able to get back to you shortly. And again, we're going to start dropping tutorials in here. And so we're back to advanced passing, and the various stats we have: dropbacks, attempts, completions, completion percentage, yards per game, yards per attempt, passer rating, sacks, adjusted net yards per attempt, yards lost due to sacks, scrambles, scramble yards, scramble touchdowns, completion percentage over expectation. That's one of the better proxy stats for quarterback accuracy that exists. ADOT, deep throw rate, total deep throws, yards after the catch percentage, adjusted completion percentage, first read throw percentage. What's an even better proxy for accurate passes? Accurate pass percentage. We have that charted. Accurate throw rate, catchable throw rate, off target throw percentage, hero throws, just like extraordinary plays, turnover worthy throws, drop percentage, yards lost due to drops. Who do you think led last year? Josh Allen. Time to throw, time to pressure, sacks that were the fault of the quarterback, avoided sacks, pressure rate. Who do you think led the league in pressure rating? Well,
Justin Fields.
I think if I had the filter set up, you would be right. But we'll just go back to this. Pressure rate over expectation, check down throw percentage, RPO percentage, attempts thrown away, batted passes, spikes, and then all the money fantasy point stats, fantasy points per dropback, fantasy points per opportunity, fantasy points per game. And again, like, our filters are on another level, like even more advanced than what you saw on the basic page. But before we go into that, if any of this is confusing to you, we have a nice little glossary here. Kind of tells you what adjusted net yards per attempt is, what adjusted completion percentage is. And you could also hover over and it'll tell you that. You could also customize this for social if you wanted to. Like if you wanted to get rid of all this.
This is one of the coolest features, I think. You can virtually make this whatever you want, whatever fields you want, you can throw in here.
And then you can just move columns around. So you can have a field day with this. I like that a lot for social. If you want to just only see Josh Allen, you can do that. But we're going to hit reset because I wasn't done showing off. So our filters, again, really are on another level. Everything you saw from the basic, just dome games, what the weather was it home or road? Was it a win or a loss? And then, what quarter was it? What down was it? Was it in the red zone? But also, was it a no huddle? Was it an RPO? What was the formation? Was it a trick play? What personnel was it? Was it an 11 personnel? Was it in 12 personnel? Was the quarterback under shotgun or under center? Was the quarterback back out of pocket when he made the throw? Do you only want to see deep throws or short yardage throws or super deep throws? Was it a screen pass? Did the quarterback avoid a sack on the play? What was the target alignment? If you only want to see throws to slot wide receivers or only throws to running backs, we have that. What was the throw type? Was the throw accurate? What was the pass result? Was it a contested target? Was the receiver open when he threw the ball? Was there a blitz on the play? What was the coverage scheme? Was it cover zero? Was it man? Was it zone? Was it leading, trailing, or tied? What was the score differential? And again, so you could look at this any number of ways. Chris, you want to come up with a good filter, try and make it somewhat actionable though.
Sure. Yeah, let's remove the easy throws for quarterback. So let's turn screens off. We'll say depth of target at least 10 yards down the field. And we could even that is a good start, and we can even then take it another step forward.
Let's throw out pressure because clean
Sure.
pocket passer rating is a lot more sticky.
And take play action off too, because that's generally helps QBs a lot.
What's wrong with helping QBs, Chris?
Well, we're just trying to see who can do the most with the least amount of help possible.
Was it Derek Carr, your boy?
This
Chris?
Sounds perfectly right to me.
If you guys don't know, Brett and Chris are massive fanboys of Derek Carr, and that's not something I've been too supportive of. Well, let's throw on the qualifier.
Let's throw in the qualifier, remove Derek Carr.
Yeah, why isn't there a remove Derek Carr option? I just feel like that would make things a lot more impactful. All right, well, holy cow. Tua Tagovailoa, 17.3 adjusted net yards per attempt. That's pretty crazy. Jalen Hurts, Matt Ryan's a little bit of a surprise, but he's a small sample size guy. Joe Burrow, Geno Smith, Mac Jones. It's a little impressive.
That Matt Ryan stat is actually crazy because I know he was bad last year, but people kind of underestimate how bad that Indianapolis offensive line was last year. And you see that when you take the pressure out of it. I mean, his numbers pop a little bit better for sure.
All right. So we've only showed you the filters. We haven't shown you the splits. Wait till you see the splits. Okay. So right now you could see all quarterbacks on the season long level. But if you wanted to see it just for a week, or all weeks rather. So if you want to see every single week from every single quarterback across the full season, we have that. And so I know the answer, but off the top of your guys' head, do you know who had the most passing yards in any given game last year? I'll give you a prize if you get it. Joe Burrow, too slow.
Burrow.
Yeah, 481 in week 7, Tua 469. All right. Oh no, damn, that screwed me up. Who had the most interceptions in any game last year? I'll give you a prize if you get it. Joe Burrow.
Oh.
Also Joe Burrow.
Or sorry, Trevor Lawrence threw 5 in a game, didn't he?
That was the playoffs.
Oh,
we're on regular season.
Sorry.
We could have filtered for that. Good call, Brett. And so that's just one split. We'll show you guys a different one. what do you want to do here, Chris? We can see all quarterbacks in play action versus non-play action, under pressure versus clean pocket. I think I kind of want to go crazy here and click on coverage scheme.
Go for it.
Yeah. All right. You insist. I should have threw a qualifier on there.
Yeah.
That's on you, Chris. I don't know better, but I know you know better.
There's just so many options. It's hard to keep track sometimes.
By the way, the power of the split feature is so ridiculous.
You can use more than one at a time too. Obviously, the crazier you get, it's going to take a while to populate, but doing something like weak and play action shouldn't take that long. And, you can do others, and then you can also put filters on top of that.
All right. So it split out all quarterbacks by coverage scheme. Ton of interceptions against cover 3. Brett, can you speak to that?
Yeah. I mean, Derek Carr had a bad season last year.
No, I just mean, is that something we'll see, like more interceptions against cover 3? Is that a?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say those were situations with a like a rolling mofo situation, so a rolling safety, where maybe they're showing too high at the snap, or they're even showing single high and then rotating safeties at the snap, and then confusing the quarterback. I know a lot of. So we also chart fire zone, which is like a cover 3 blitz, and that just falls in the cover 3 bucket too. So quarterbacks are probably, generally speaking, more under pressure in that cover 3 bucket, because we are including the fire zone in there as well. Pressure is going to generate turnovers, regardless. So I think that's probably the safe bet there.
Yeah, I just tuned you out. I heard something about fire sale or fire engines, and yeah. Now you're the one speaking a different language.
Exactly.
All right.
And then Chris would translate that to you.
All right. So Daniel Jones was the most efficient quarterback last year against cover 1, 0.65 fantasy points per dropback. Jared Goff, also very efficient against cover 1. Tua, very good against cover 3. Patrick Mahomes, really high in both cover 1, cover 3. That's no surprise, because Mahomes did lead the league in fantasy points per opportunity last year. I think it was top 3 in fantasy points per dropback. But
Brett, does it surprise you that Goff is that high against cover? Because usually we see man defenses being really good against, or quarterbacks, mobile QBs really crushing man defense because they can scramble. So Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts were at the top of the list, but then you got Goff in there, who is definitely not as mobile.
So I think quarterbacks that do well against cover 1, it's going to be because of one of two things. One, he's either really, really good pre-snap, so he identifies the coverage, he knows what he wants, and he's throwing to a guy. The great thing about cover 1, guys, is like the quarterback knows what he's getting. There's no guessing on a zone defender, possibly dropping into a window. Like, he knows what he's getting. So a quarterback that's really good pre-snap is going to identify that, and he's going to know where he's going with the football pretty quickly. Goff is a very accurate thrower, so that doesn't surprise me too much. The other option is guys that are running a heavy amount of RPO or play action, which Goff actually falls into that play action bucket as well. But so guys that are running a heavy amount of RPO, it's all about putting those second level defenders in conflict, right? So even if it's a cover 1 look, they're still sucking those linebackers up with RPO, and the quarterback's got a predetermined read there. So he's got one spot to throw it, and usually those plays yield pretty good results.
Brett, can you tell me why Tua Tagovailoa averaged an insane 11.4 yards per attempt against cover 3, but then only 7.8 against cover 1? And it could be variance. Like, I'll be honest, it could be variance. But do you think there's any meaning to that? Is there anything you saw with the scheme or Tua in particular, or the receivers, that would kind of hint at that?
I would guess cover 3. He's getting maybe some off coverage on Tyreek or Jalen Waddle. It's single high. Those, like, you really shouldn't play single high against those guys. The problem is they're so good after the catch. You kind of need to flood the line of scrimmage to make sure you can contain them if they catch the ball in space. He just had a ton of YOLO balls that he completed downfield at Tyreek. I'm guessing most of those just happened to be against cover 3.
Got it. So we're not yet done with the passing tools. That was advanced passing. Oh, and by the way, just needed to remind you guys, you can look at all of this on the offense, defense, player level. And so if you want to look at it by defense, we have all of our insane filters and splits available. If you just want to see which defense gave up the most yards to slot wide receivers, we have that. It was the Titans last year.
What's really interesting is you can throw a coverage filter on top of this.
That's right. Would you like to?
Sure.
All right. Tell me what to put on it.
Just go slot receiver, cover 1. I'd love to see that. Or just man. Just do man. Boom.
Any guesses? It was your beloved Lions.
Honestly, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Lions, Giants, Raiders. That all makes perfect sense. Dolphins are a little surprising. They're a man-heavy team, and they, kind of had a good secondary. So
yeah. Well, look at this. They had 91 attempts thrown on them. So if you sort by yards per attempt,
true.
They were nearly best in the league. Okay. Not yet done with passing. We also have this, which is just kind of like a fun little tool to play around with. I like it. You guys are really killing me. Like, I feel like my screen is so zoomed in. Like on my typical screen, I could see everything perfectly, but apparently that's tricky on mobile. So it just kind of the cutoffs kind of throw thing. But I'm going to zoom out just for this one.
I'm going to make sure no one else can see it, but as long as I can, we're good.
All right. Who led the league in yards on deep passes last year? Josh Allen.
I can't see your screen, so I have no idea.
Josh Allen, no surprise. Who led in short yardage throws? Tom Brady, no surprise.
Where's Herbert on there? He's got to be close.
He's number 2.
Nice.
And in intermediate throws, he was number 5. Tom Brady was 10. Okay. And again, all the insane filters you could ever want are all over here. And
Scott, before you go to the next section, Thomas, is there any tools or questions in the chat or anything we should touch on before we get too far away from this
good
stuff?
call.
An AI interface to help cut through. Wow.
What?
No, we haven't at this point. Just there was, like Scott said, almost 2 years of development to get this up and running, and we just wanted to get the data out there and available to people in some capacity.
I was just gonna look up the name of the. I was just gonna look up the name of the robot from Terminator. I'm like, who asked this question? Whatever. But yeah,
T1000.
I don't know. The AI craze is out of control. Not on board with it. Why would you want that? Like, this tool is fun as hell. Like, I just like live in here and play around, and I come up with so many crazy stats that go viral on Twitter. Why wouldn't you want to do the same? T1000. Would you guys say that this tool is capable of all the type of fantasy data science that you can do with NFL Faster? There's a lot of people doing code in Python and R for that data set. Thoughts?
That's NFL Fast R, by the way.
Oh, my bad.
So the point of faster.
Yeah, that's just my Jersey accent. Have you heard me say water?
Yes.
No, never. Can you say that?
But back to the question. So the whole point of this tool is so that you don't have to know how to do any data science stuff. It does it all for you. You can do whatever filters you want to do. And it's got way, way more advanced level stuff.
A correlation column. That's an idea.
So Scott, you're definitely starting to, it's not just you guys that are just getting access to this data for the first time. It's also all of us. We're still learning what is sticky. I know Scott's doing all kinds of deep digging on different filter combinations to come up with different stats. And he's going to be, a lot of his content's going to be focused around stuff from this tool and what's sticky and what's not. So we're still learning as much as you guys are of what's important and what's not here.
Yeah. I'll also say, like, we're constantly adding to this. We're adding stuff every week. We have some big plans. We're adding an offensive line versus defensive line tool, a coverage shells matchup tool, a few other things. Right now, you can't. Alex Dunlap just asked this. Can you, via text, not in the YouTube chat, can you do splits based on whether or not a player was out? Like, what did Tyreek Hill average in games that Skylar Thompson was the quarterback versus Tua? We don't have that right now, but that we're taking as many suggestions and feedback as possible, and we're constantly looking to add and improve this tool.
We don't
Again,
have that directly, but we do have it.
Well, that's true.
We can still sort for week.
Yeah, you could do that, of course. I just mean in terms of like tools that just do everything for you. Again, we're just going to continually add and improve this product. Okay. Should we move along to basic receiving? Again, nothing too mind-blowing in the basic. Targets, receptions, yards per reception, yards per target, fantasy points per game. We have the filter options if you want to just see. And again, this is free to access, updated within 20 minutes. If you just want to see fantasy points per game at home as a favorite, you just hit apply. Jamar Chase. You can see it on the offense and defense level. All right, let's get crazy. Let's go to advanced receiving. We have routes, route share, ADOT, air yards, air yardage share, targets, target share, targets per route run, receptions, catch rate, yards, yards per game, yardage market share, yards per route run, yards per target, yards per reception, yards after the catch.
There we go.
Is that better for you?
A little better.
Yards after the catch, yards after the catch per reception, yards after contact per reception, touchdowns, touchdown market share. And we're not even getting started, folks. End zone targets, end zone touchdown, missed tackles forced per reception, first downs, drops, drop rate, catchable targets, catchable target percentage. You want to guess who ranked dead last in that stat last year? That was Kyle Pitts. Designed reads, designed target share. No, is that right? No, percentage of targets coming on design plays. Contested targets. Yeah, I don't know why. My brain meltdown for a second. Contested target catches, contested catch rate, hero catches, passer rating when targeted, first read targets. I think we're the only one with this stat. First read target share. You want to see who the top 10 is. It's just about every name you would expect to see, all the GOATs. Threat rate, yards per target over expectation, and then what percentage of routes came from where. So Devontae Adams, 70% of his routes came out wide, 30% came in the slot, 0 came out of the backfield, and 0% came as a tight end. And then, of course, all the great fantasy stats, fantasy points per route run, fantasy points per game, XFP per game, XFP per route. And again, you can just kind of hide all this. If you just want it more basic like that, we can do that. Who do you think led in XFP per route run last year?
Cooper Kupp.
No, Tyreek.
Wrong. It was Cody White. How did you not get that? Well, folks, that's why you got to put the qualifiers on.
Incredible.
Threat rate is the percentage of targets they earn when the QB throws an aimed pass. So if the QB gets sacked, we don't knock them for that. If the QB throws the ball away, we don't knock them for that.
Spikes.
Stuff like that. Spikes. Yep.
We should kind of dedicate a few minutes to talk about the most important stats. I do just want to see Kyle Pitts. Hell yeah.
Wow.
Drake London third, which just goes to show you, like, imagine if Arthur Smith like puts his foot on the gas this year and Desmond Ridder is mildly competent. Those guys would be awesome. I'm kind of banking on.
This was XFP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ritter still has to throw the ball in the same
I
unit
know,
as
I know.
London, which is tough.
So what I'm hoping for is like they suck ass. They release the head coach. They get someone good. They draft Caleb Wilson or Drake May, and then Bijan, Kyle Pitts, Drake London are just, all first round picks in fantasy, but that's not going to happen. All right. We'll go back to basic, not basic, but we'll reset it. Freaking Cody White. What are you doing here, Cody White? You're screwing everything up. Yeah. So again, you can check out the glossary, and we're going to write a number of articles talking about which stats are most predictive and why. And we're going to make a bunch of tutorial videos to help you with this tool, sort of like this, where we'll go a little more in depth into everything. What is the best stat on this table is a question I get a lot. It's going to be yards per route run. As long as you set an appropriate filter, it is going to be yards per route run.
Yards per route run is a great stat. It's kind of like the missionary of wide receiver analytics.
No, it's the doggy, Brett. Come on.
It's the tried and true method. It's still great though, even though it's been done a million times. I
mean, it's just the best. In terms of predictiveness, in terms of stickiness, in terms of spotting outliers, in terms of finding breakout candidates.
Stickiness like that after.
I know. And so if you look at this list, you see like a bunch of studs with no real surprises except for these two. And yeah, I mean, I'm drafting a ton of both of these names because they
Scott,
both
you gotta
had...
zoom in more. We can't see the names.
Oh my God. You guys are this looks like
it looks like
I took a microscope.
All right, don't get dramatic. Or you could why don't you go into the settings and increase the font size?
Brock would love that. Yeah, I'm going to pass on that. But I like the opportunity. And so just anyway, generationally good yards per route run for a rookie tight end and a rookie wide receiver, and they're more or less free in league. So definitely like both these guys. That's a good one. First read target share is really good. Like who was the alpha wide receivers in the league? It's just about every great wide receiver for fantasy. Devontae, Kupp, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, DeAndre Hopkins. So in DFS, I'll look to see players rising in first read target share, like Brandon Ayuk at the end of last season really was the alpha of that 49ers offense. And I expect him to be the alpha this year.
Because he's significantly better than Deebo Samuel.
How good is he, Brett?
I mean, he's freaking awesome. I mean, there will be a thread, Scott. Don't worry.
I need it because like in my content, my articles, I'm like, love Brandon Ayuk because Brett tells me he's like a top 7 wide receiver already in the NFL. And I just don't have anything to link to. So if you gave me a thread to link to, that'd be nice. So again, I really hate the zoom in. It looks so much more zoomed in on my computer. You can look at it on the offense level. You could look at it on the defense level. You have all these filter options. Was it a no huddle? Was it a trick play? What was the personnel? Was it 11 personnel? Was it 12 personnel? Was the quarterback under pressure? Was it a screen pass? Was the throw accurate? Was it a contested target? Was the receiver open on the play? Was he in the slot or was he out wide? Was it against man? Was it against zone? Was it against cover one? Was it when they were leading or trailing? And so you could really do just about anything here. Chris, you want to give me something good?
Let's see. Let's do receivers when, or percentage of their, let's do all the vertical route concepts. So targeted route is either a go route, post route, or a corner route.
How did I not show this? Yeah, you can also see these guys by what routes they were running. All right, so you said corner, post,
and go route.
out.
No, not out. Yep, go route.
Okay.
It's probably Tyreek Hill.
Probably Tyreek Hill.
Who was the guy from before that we mentioned?
Cody
White.
Cody White. Oh, well, yeah, I got to fix the qualifier. Because only 2 players ran over 100 routes of that type. Okay.
Boom. I wish I could read the names. That'd be really sweet.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
right,
sorted by targets.
Devontae.
Wow, Devontae had more vertical route targets than Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, but look at the difference in yards.
Well, yeah, Tyreek's way better at them.
Justin Jefferson was second, not by too far off. And like, imagine if Cousins gets a good offensive line this year.
Their offensive line is very good.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you look last year, I mean, like if you watch the Netflix documentary Quarterback, that dude was getting murdered. And then I forget who pulled the stat, but I think it was Ryan pulled it up, where it was like pressure rate on deep throws. And it was like for every quarterback, it was like, like 20 to 30%. And then for Kirk Cousins, it was like 60%. And he was like hit as he was throwing like 80%. So yeah, I mean, like,
that's a Kirk Cousins problem though, not an O-line problem.
Is it? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Holding the ball too long.
Well, I guess that would show up in our QB fault sack stat.
Or even just his time to throw on those deep throws.
Well, that's right. That's right. I'm surprised I didn't think of that. No, that's good. Yeah, time to throw on deep throws. I'm actually gonna write that down. Maybe I'll do a little study on it.
Yes.
All right, so we'll go to. All right, so I found this. I need your opinion on this, Chris. This is pretty mind blowing to me. We're gonna do QB pressured.
Brett, how do we decide what a QB fault sack is?
Well, that's complicated.
Well, just generally, like basically what we're saying is it's not the offensive line's fault that the QB got sacked.
Yeah. Yeah.
That can happen for a variety of reasons.
Sure. So what just happened there was not that Brett didn't know the answer. It's just he doesn't want to give away proprietary definitions.
Well,
you can speak generally to this.
Chris was asking me as if this was a phone call from Scott, and he was like legitimately wanting to know every possible detail. Yeah, you're right. I could have simplified that easily. Yeah, it's a QB fault sack is just a sack that we're not pinning on the offensive line. We're deciding that sack was caused by the quarterback, holding the ball too long for the route concept, or, yada yada yada. Usually a QB faulted sack will correlate with a very high time to pressure or time to throw.
All right, give me a second, guys. Hold on. I'm doing something cool. All right. Quarterback was not under pressure. Who do you think led in yards per route run?
I already know this answer, so I'll let Brett go.
Jerry Jeudy?
No, that was when his quarterback was under pressure.
Not under pressure?
Yeah.
Did
I hit apply?
I don't know. Am I going to be mad, Chris?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
I think I screwed this up. Why would you be mad?
I don't know. If it was like somebody I don't like Juju.
I mean, no one
I
likes
wish.
Juju. All right. Quarterback pressured, no. Apply.
Is it one of the Miami Bros? Waddle or
I mean, this isn't the mind-blowing part of it, Chris. I mean, Brett.
AJ Brown?
Yeah. How do you know that? So 404 yards per route run when his quarterback was not under pressure.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Why?
Heavy RPO offense. Most of those throws Hurts is making off the RPO is going to be designed for AJ Brown. So if that linebacker bites on the read option fake or the handoff to the running back, there's going to be space, space in the secondary for AJ Brown to catch a slant and go. So that makes complete sense. And AJ Brown's also just a bad man.
Okay. Well, so he ranked first, and then where does he rank?
Just resort it.
He ranks 119th when his quarterback was actually under pressure, next to Tommy Tremble.
Logan what? Scott, what's that name? Two below Tommy Tremble.
How do you guys not see this? This is under.
No, I can see the name.
Darren Waller.
Yeah, that's not great.
I mean, this is another stat that I don't really know that's predictive. I think in AJ Brown's case, it is because, like Brett said, it was heavily influenced by the RPO heavy offense, potentially also route depth, potentially also his lack of designed targets or check down targets. And so if you're playing in DFS, like I'm going to prioritize AJ Brown in weeks they're against a bad pass rush and kind of avoid him in weeks they're against a good pass rush. But I mean, for a player like Darren Waller, who was hurt all last year and is now in a new offense in a different role, and he also missed all of training camp last year and didn't learn the Josh McDaniels offense, I don't know that matters too much to me. And then here's another nice little tool you can look at. I know Derek Brown, who's in chat, was playing around with this yesterday. Kind of lets you see all wide receivers by whether they're out wide, in the slot, in line, or out of the backfield. So
by C, did you mean scribbles or what? What was that?
So if I don't set the qualifier, I think if I remember correctly, Tevin Coleman leads in yards per route run from the slot. So I'm going to set some filters.
I love that the twins, Dan and Derek Brown, are communicating in chat right now. That's great.
That's great. The two D bros.
The D bros.
All right. Who do you think led in yards per route run out wide last year? Brett. It was Tyreek. Who do you think led in yards per route run from the slot? Chris. It was Justin Jefferson.
Why are you calling on us and not letting us answer?
Who do you think led in yards per route run? Oh no, I have the qualifier set up. Anyway, you can play around with that. What D-Bro tweeted out, which I thought was pretty cool, was he looked at all wide receivers who averaged 2.5 yards per route run from both out wide and in the slot. And surprisingly, a number of last year's rookie wide receivers made that list. For the sake of time, not to just go too crazy on you guys and give room for questions. Basic passing, basic rushing is pretty straightforward. Advanced rushing is pretty straightforward. All of the best, most important, most predictive stats for running backs. I really like yards after contact per attempt. I really like missed tackles forced per attempt, but we also have percentage of explosive plays, percentage of carries inside the 5, stuff rate, percentage of carries to gain 1, 3, 5, 10, 20, 30 or more yards. Yards after contact, missed tackles forced, yards before contact, zone concepts versus man concepts. I like this. So we'll do some qualifiers. And I liked what John showed us yesterday about Rashad White, but maybe Chris has something. Yards per carry in zone last year, Khalil Herbert, but he was actually a beast in both. Unlike Raheem Mostert, who smashed in zone concept runs, but was less efficient in man. And the sort of reverse of that would be maybe Austin Eckler, who 5.5 yards per carry in man gap concepts, but comparatively struggled in zone. That's somewhat interesting. And again, all the filters you could ever want. If you want to see carries against stack boxes, we have that. If you want to filter for game script, we have that. Yards per carry and RPOs. If you only want to see what's going on in the red zone or inside the 10, we have that as well. And we have it on the offense and defense level, but I'll show you my sort of pet tool, which is the bell cow report. This is super valuable for fantasy. Like I've kept this in an Excel spreadsheet for, 7 years, and it's just helped me make a lot of money in DFS. The most important thing for running backs is volume. And from a DFS perspective, you want to be monitoring volume week to week, who's seeing an increased role or a sort of demotion. And that's what this tells you. The best volume stats for running backs are going to be XFP in all of its forms, XFP per game, XFP market share, as well as second best stat is not touches, it's not carries, it's not targets, it's snaps and snap share. So who led in snap share last week? Saquon Barkley. Who led in route share last season? Christian McCaffrey. Who led in carry share? Josh Jacobs. Who led in XFP share? I'll give you a prize if you get it right, Brett, and it was Derrick Henry. You're too slow, man. All right. And so again, that's just on the season level. If you want to look at it on the week level, we have that as well. Again, that's what I use it for, is on the weekly level. Really valuable to monitor increase or decline in usage. Who had the highest snap share in any given week last season? It was Cam Akers in week 18, I'm sorry. Ramondre Stevenson was up there, and then James Conner had a nice little streak where I played the F out of him in DFS and did pretty well for myself. And I don't know if we mentioned it before, but everything is exportable to CSV. So you just click this. Again, you can include or exclude some various things. Click this, and then it comes up in Excel. Is this really tiny again? And then you just control filter for whatever you want. If you prefer to navigate, or if there's a stat you think we're missing, if you wanted to see, if you want to see carries divided by snaps, I don't know why you would, but you can do that. And so that's just another kind of cool thing that you can do. You can do that for every single one of these tools. Also copy to clipboard option. And that's the bell cow report. You could also, if you want to filter it further and see, just fourth quarter, if you want to see by game script, you can do that. Hit apply. But we'll go back. Running back plus wide receiver efficiency chart is just kind of a combination of the rushing and receiving tool. So one of the best stats for running backs, one of the most predictive, is I promise you it's one of the most predictive, although you might not believe me in a minute, is missed tackles forced per touch. Except in like two very specific instances where it's not that important. So who were the leaders in missed tackles forced per touch last year? David Montgomery, Nick Chubb, Ramondre Stevenson, Khalil Herbert, Zach Moss. And so here's what I was going to say. One of the best, most predictive stats, except there are two running backs and only two running backs over the past, 10 years who are amazing at forcing missed tackles and really bad at gaining positive yards. and that would be Montgomery and Zach Moss, who are also elite at this metric in college. But yeah, this is the sort of rushing plus receiving, or RB plus wide receiver efficiency tool. And we have a snaps tool. This is really useful for, well, we have it percentage of rushing snaps, percentage of passing snaps, percentage of snaps inside the 5, inside the 10, inside the 20. At a certain point, we'll include leading game script, like percentage of snaps when leading, when trailing. But we actually still have the filter for this. Does it only go back to 2021? Yeah, that's right. At a certain point, we'll start back charting data. But for right now, it's just 2021, 2022, and we'll have 2023. But one thing that I thought was cool for this is I think we were overstating Kyle Pitts' touchdown upside last year. So
who overstated that? He had Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder thrown on the ball.
Yeah, but look at this. So he had an 84% snap share in passing situations, but inside the 10, that fell to just 67%. So they were pulling him at the goal line, which kind of hints at, not as good
it's
of a.
It's because they run the ball so much.
Well, yes, that's right. Yeah. Is there a way to filter for that?
Like a percentage of plays in the. Yeah, well, so go to the play filter and just put it on inside the 5.
Oh, okay.
Yards to goal.
Nope, I broke it.
Your qualifier.
Oh, that's what it is.
And then just pull up, put Atlanta in the search bar so we could just look at what Atlanta did, and then zoom in a little bit so we can see it.
You're killing me with this, zoom in.
Well, we would rather you be dead than everyone else, Scott.
All right.
That's funny.
Chris?
Yeah, so Drake London doesn't come off. So when they pass inside the 5 or inside the 10, London and Pitts are definitely on the field. But when they run, both of them drop a pretty good amount. So they're pulling both of their main receivers off the field when they run inside the 5.
Which is just hilarious, by the way. You have big athletic freaks.
Even Cordell Patterson comes off. So literally their 3 biggest receiving weapons of last year came off the field when they ran the ball inside the 5.
Yeah, so you're just the play calling is already bad, and now Arthur Smith is just giving you a tell. It's like, oh, cool, we're gonna bring our best pass catchers off the field, so you know exactly what we're doing right now. Oh, our demo guy just left randomly.
I guess we're just filling this part of the show.
That dead comment must have really bothered him.
It did not make him happy. He does like Kyle Pitts this year.
Hey, bud.
Hey.
Okay.
I just got a beer. And my girlfriend brought me Reese's Pieces.
Nice.
All right. You guys ready to go dive into the next one?
Sure, that'll help your workout tomorrow.
All right. Fantasy points scored. This is a new addition. I just added it today, and we're going to beef it up at some point. But yeah. So if you want to see fantasy points this is fantasy points scored on the offense level. And this is it on the defense level. And so which defense gave up the most receiving yards last year? The Titans. Most receptions, Titans. The most rushing yards, Texans. Most interceptions, 49ers. Most touchdowns, Chiefs. most rushing fantasy points, most receiving fantasy points. We'll add this for like rushing fantasy points per game and receiving fantasy points per game. We could also do, if you want to see just for slot.
Derek Brown. Unrelated, Derek Brown said candy carbs pre-workout are elite.
I couldn't
I
open
agree,
it.
but
This is
Scott's not
tricky.
working out
This is
right now.
tricky.
He's doing a demo on a live stream. So he's just adding carbs to his blood for no reason.
Yeah, I'm also drinking a beer.
Tremendous.
So most fantasy points per game allowed 2 slot wide receivers last year, or out into the slot was the Chiefs last year. But the most yards allowed were the Titans. So just fewer receptions and touchdowns. We're going to beef this up. We're going to have a position option at some point. So if you just want to see tight ends, you can do that, running backs to that. But again, we're technically in beta, and we're going to keep beefing this up and adding to it, not just before week 1, but into the season as well.
We also have 25 other tools in development that are going to go into the suite at some point.
Seriously. Yeah, like that's not a joke. Yeah. It's going to be crazy. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to hit on before we take questions?
No, let's take questions, man.
I see a lot of Derek Brown in the chat.
Because Derek is
The man?
he's the man. He's like the most encouraging human being on planet Earth.
Thomas, do you have any questions to pull up, or are we just good? Is it just the 2 D-bros having a love affair in chat? I see Pretty Wild Man. I'm massively impressed. That's great. I see Triple D Darren in the house. I think we're good. Yeah.
What data would you be filtering to help with underdog drafts? Tom Vincent asks.
So I think a fun one would be, you really want big play threats, players who can, score a touchdown on one big play that speaks to their ceiling. And so something you can do for that is you could filter for deep routes like we did before. Or you can just look at depth of target over 20. That's something I've used for quite some time as a proxy for high variant wide receivers. Although you can do this a number of different ways. If you did the split week export, you can calculate standard deviation even yourself. But this is something you can do. Like these are
ADOT would be a big one too, Scott.
Yeah.
Search by ADOT.
What about
Or just
deep
total
touchdowns?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like better and best ball, definitely Tyler Lockett, Tyreek Hill, Christian Watson, Gabe Davis. Those guys all come to mind. Marquise Goodwin.
Marquise Goodwin. He's not still in Seattle, right?
I have no idea.
No. Teron Kane asks, any plans to add IDP data?
Oh, that was the other tool that I forgot to mention. We're going to add a cornerback tool, ideally before week 1. And we're going to have that offensive line versus defensive line tool. But yeah, IDP is not really a priority for us at this point, really just kind of.
Yeah, we will have individual defensive stats at some point. I don't know that it will be super geared towards IDP specifically, but there will be stats on there for sure that I'm sure we'll have some heavy correlations to certain things, but we'll probably TBD, maybe heavy push for that in 2024 for sure. Dynasty Barry 83 asks, tell me number one reason to drop my player profile sub in favor of this. Probably wouldn't speak to the player profiler sub. Scott,
Why not have both?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure
don't
that's a fine
competitors.
product. So, but yeah, Scott, why don't you sell him quickly on why he should drop the $50 to get this product?
Well, I will say, I think we have easily the most customizable tool. Like any stat you can ever dream up, you can get it here. We have way more stats than just about probably anyone
Yeah.
else. And once you factor in that customization, it's like exponential because, like
Yep.
no one else has yards per carry in dome games on the road and, 20 mile per hour wins, whatever you want to look at. But also I want to speak to the accuracy of the data. Again, Brett is the best film mind I've ever come across. He's a genius. He's a workaholic. He's built an incredible team. And he takes really pride in the work where we have a really good system in place to double check and then triple check the data to make sure it's as accurate as possible. And we're getting this out in a timely manner. Granted, we're going to go back over the data as days go on to make sure it's completely accurate, but we're trying to get this up to the user as quickly as possible. Brett, did you want to speak on that process and when people should expect the charted data? Remember, non-charted data, the basic tools are going to be up within 20 minutes of games ending.
Yeah, for sure. So like Scott said, accuracy is a huge priority for us. So we finished charting data, I would say around noon-ish on Monday. That's all the Sunday games. Might be a little aggressive there, but the team is growing. And then it goes through like a really robust accuracy check process. That's several hours long. Chris has automated a lot of processes that does a lot of the accuracy stuff for us, but we also do a lot of eye checks as well, where there's a bunch of analysts. We're going to be adding an official quality control analyst to the team. That's might be breaking news, but yeah, so that's pretty cool. But that's going to be there's probably their sole job is just helping check that stuff. And so I think ultimately the goal for this year is going to be you'll have all of the charted data by 4 p.m. every Monday. That's for all the Sunday games. Then Monday Night Football comes up easy. That's one game. We knocked that out really quickly. That'll be done and reviewed. Gosh, Chris, what, 10 a.m.? I mean,
Tuesday morning, yeah.
Yeah, it's fast. I mean, and I would say
before the West Coast even gets up.
Yeah, before the West Coast even gets up, that'll be on the site and ready to go. In like the 4 p.m. deadline for Monday, like that's just that's a temporary goal. We've exceeded our goal every year. We've set one so far. Last year, I think it was we kind of had like a midnight Monday starting point, and by like week 3 we were hitting like 6 p.m. So like 4 p.m. is very attainable. I wouldn't be shocked with the size of the team if we get that down to close to noon at some point in the season, but I don't want to get people's hopes too high. But that it's still really fast. Going to be, we're right in line with all the competitors. I know we're faster than just about anybody. I don't really want to say names, but there's one other company that might be as fast as us, and I think we probably got them by about an hour. Scott's muted.
He's still going. Scott, we can't hear you.
Typical Scott. What a Scott move.
Typical Scott.
So Garfield Willisey asks, anyone else having trouble checking on the Fantasy Points website? I'm guessing he means he can't find it on the Fantasy Points website. We're going to add that probably later tonight or tomorrow. But for right now, you would just click on this. And it takes you here. Or you can just go to the URL, data.fantasypoints.com. Anyone want to guess my password?
No.
It's Rondane27. Rondane27.
Your email's also showing, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Can't wait to get some fun emails off of this.
No, I think the issue there, Scott, is you just gave away the tool for free to everybody.
Why? They don't know my password.
You just said your password.
Yeah, but I didn't say it's case sensitive. They're gonna have to do a million combinations with like, is the O capitalized?
I think there's people that are probably willing. You'd be surprised.
It's just the R and the D are capitalized. That's my password to everything, though. That's my password to.
Oh my god! What is happening?
My bank account, even the offshore ones.
Even the offshore ones.
No, I'm just.
It's not even illegal to steal those. Like they could just. Like, what jurisdiction does that fall under?
I need to change some passwords, guys. Is there anything else we wanted to do? Are you enjoying your champagne, or did we all just take one sip and then abandon it?
No, I had 2 glasses and a couple swigs from the bottle, man.
Yeah, same.
Like the Omega that I am.
Yeah.
I just want to say this. So the other thing with this tool, I think a lot of people don't understand or don't realize is it now it's the first consumer level access to understand why teams do what they do. We've never before been able to tell like, oh, they ran a lot more of 12 personnel this week. And we don't, and sometimes, maybe Jalen Hurts has a bad game and we don't know why. Like as fantasy analysts, we just have to guess that maybe he'll bounce back or not. But now we can look and see, did they change something in their personnel usage? Did the defense do something different than they normally do? We can now have access to that, and it'll help us get a better idea of what might happen going forward. Like stuff, it's so much of a storytelling that we can now do that we've never been able to do before.
Yeah, and I did see some haters coming out of the woodwork, which is like a sign of a successful launch. Someone was like, well, we don't really know that this stat is like that predictive.
I saw that.
And Chris was like, that's because it didn't exist until 4 hours ago. So like go ahead and play around with it. But like, here's why the stat is meaningful. And you were right in how it's meaningful. And again, I just want to speak on this tool. Like, if this intimidates you, these crazy filters, like you don't have to learn them. Like this stat is, this tool is mind-blowing enough on its own, even without that. But if you do want to get into the weeds, you can, and you could have quite a bit of fun. I've already come up with some really actionable stats from a redraft perspective, from a best ball perspective, from a DFS perspective.
Yep, it can be as simple or as complex and deep as you want to make it.
Well, all right. I guess I'll give another couple of minutes. If anyone has any last minute questions, we're happy to answer them. We'd appreciate you subscribing to Fantasy Points Data. Again, it's only $50. We really believe we're basically giving this out for free. And maybe I'm an idiot for only charging $50, like many people have told me. So please, hopefully, we sell on volume this year and I don't look like an idiot. We'd also appreciate, commenting in YouTube, following us on YouTube, leaving a 5-star review. I don't know. How does YouTube work? Any of the token YouTube stuff that Thomas is in our private chat right now trying to, all right, thumbs up is what it is. Leave a comment on the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Turn on notifications.
Turn on notifications and maybe pause. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll check smash the bell. That's another one I missed. Derek Brown asks, what is your bank PIN number? And that would be, I really can't say what it is. That would be Chris's birthday.
That's where you draw the line, Scott. You're like, I'll give you everything but the PIN number.
Well, my PIN is so stupid.
Okay, just stop. just stop.
All right. Yeah, but before I get hacked and my life is in ruins. Thanks everyone for watching, and hope you like the tool as much as we did.